What's going on, everyone? In this video today, we're going to do a generic overview of cutting weight the week of a meet so you figure out what you should do and mistakes that you should avoid so you don't screw up your meet week weight cut. So as always, let's get right into the video. Alrighty, what's going on, my powerlifting people? Thank you for checking out the channel and tuning into another video. If you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Aaron Kamesi. I'm a powerlifting coach, athlete, referee, and meet director. So I make videos here on this channel to help out those groups of people. As I mentioned in the intro in this video, we're going to do a breakdown of the meet week weight cut so you can figure out whether you should do it, whether you shouldn't do it, what to do in the days leading up, what to do in the few hours leading up to when you weigh in, and what to do afterwards, and considerations when it comes to, local meets versus you have to travel for the meet. That way you can get an overview of what the meet week weight cut entails and some mistakes that you should be avoiding that you see people screw up sometimes their water cut because of this. And some points before we get started. One is that this is going to be more of an overview. We're not going to be able to go detailed to everything because it can be a very, very long video. So I want to put out the overview first, and then in future videos, we'll go and break down some of these points further and further into more details. And two is that things will be specific to you. So we can only go over the generic idea here that's going to cover most people, but depending on your specific situation, what you can eat, what you can't eat, how much weight you're cutting, any other considerations where you may need to talk to a dietitian or some other doctor, those things that are not going to be able to go over in this, and you may want to consult with someone before you do anything in this. This is just like, for educational purposes and just going over the generic idea and maybe some tips and tricks that you can take away. So let's get started. Number one is going to be why you shouldn't do it. So not everyone needs to do a water cut, and depending on what level you are, you probably will hear lots of coaches say don't do it. And so for some of the people that shouldn't be doing it is okay if it's going to be your first competition ever, or even if you are a beginner. So you want to be reducing the variables when you're first getting into the sport, especially when it's your first competition. So when you go from the gym and the technique and the training numbers you're hitting in the gym to the competition, you want to have as little change as possible. So you're already changing, possibly the equipment that you're using, the weights that you're picking as far as kilograms and pounds, the timing of things where you have to go basically on the speed of the competition and not your rest times in the gym, even just the location, the temperature, all that kind of stuff. There's already lots of variables going on. So you want to reduce the other variables you put in. For example, cutting weight. You don't want to be walking around at 190 pounds and then try and cut down to 183 pounds for your first competition. Just compete at the 190 pounds, take that variable out of play and see how you do. And then in the future, you can then look into whether you're going to be more competitive cutting down and you want to test that out. And even if you are a beginner lifter and you've done, let's say, 3 to 5 competitions, you've been around for a year or two, but you're not looking to go to national, you're not competitive or anything like that, you may not even want to worry about it. So again, just taking the variable out, it makes it easier on you. It's less things to stress about going into the meet. They're like, oh, I have to do this protocol while I'm trying to work and everything like that, and I have to go through this misery of cutting weight and making weight. Just take that out of it and have fun. Continue to lift in whatever weight you're at and whatever weight class you fall into, hitting those PRs and enjoying the local level competitions if that's all you're doing. And then if you are a national or international level lifter, but you're doing a local meet or a meet where you don't have to be in your weight class in order to qualify for the higher competition, then again, there's no point in doing it. So I've had some lifters that are, national level and have gone to international meets, but maybe they're doing a local meet for fun with friends at a gym they go to, or maybe they're just doing it to hit a qualifying total and they can change their weight class up or down. They don't have to be in that specific weight class. Well, then what's the point again of going through that stress and being miserable just for a local competition? Doesn't matter. Just go in at the weight that you weigh in at and hit your numbers and have fun. And then for the meets that do matter and you have to be at that weight class, then for those you do the extra cutting the weight to make that weight class. All right, number two, why you should do it. So now if you are a higher level lifter and you're trying to win nationals, you're trying to get on the team for worlds, you're trying to win worlds, that kind of stuff like that, then there can be a lot of benefits to it in walking around at a heavier weight where you have more muscle mass and then cutting down that weight just to make the weight class as far as little time as possible and then getting back up to that training weight. So that way you can walk around with more muscle and have higher training loads and be able to hopefully push more weight, then just cut out the water and food to make the weight class. So now you're in a lower weight class, but you have the more muscle mass and the strength that you've been doing throughout the entire training cycle. You're just making that weight real quick and going back up. Depending on the person, it can have a small benefit up to a large benefit, depending on how much you cut, how much you put back on, and how well you feel when you are basically doing the water cut. But even if you hit less numbers at the competition with the water cut than you were hitting in training, or your training was projected for you to hit at that heavier body weight, is still most likely going to be better than if you were just walking around at that weight class. So again, using that example of the 183 weight class, 83 kilos, let's say you walk around at 190 pounds. So your options are, you can compete in the higher weight class and just be 190 pounds. You can cut the weight down to 183s and then get back up to 190 pounds, or you can just walk around in the 183 pound weight class. So if we rank these about how strong you would be in a competition, it's possible that walking around and competing at 190 pounds is going to let you do the most weight. But then one step below that most likely is going to be walking around at 190, cutting down to 183 and getting back up to 190. And then the lowest weights you can hit and probably the least strong you be is if you just walked around at 183 pounds and competed at 183 pounds, because you're going to have that less muscle mass. So make sure you're comparing the right thing and saying, okay, there's no point in me water cutting because I'm not going to hit the same numbers from the water cut because it's going to deplete yourself. But you have to understand that it's still possibly better off than just walking around that weight class. So being able to push yourself a little bit above that weight class, have more muscle mass, train with bigger numbers, and making that cut down is going to make you more competitive when you are looking to, like I said, win nationals, go to worlds, and possibly win worlds. So if you are that elite level lifter and you want to achieve those big goals, you may have to make those sacrifices. All right, so now let's go into the overall process, starting with the days leading up to when you actually have to make weight. So before you actually step on the scale, you have to prepare yourself, and there's going to be a little preparation in the 24 even 48 hours prior, and then preparation in the 72 to however many days out you start your process, and that's going to be starting to load everything. So your body wants to do the kind of the opposite of what you do. So if you basically give it a bunch of water, it's going to say, okay, I'm getting all this water and I'm going to keep urinating and letting this water out. But if you stop yourself from having water and your body says, okay, there's no water coming in, it's going to want to hold on to everything it has because it doesn't know when it's going to get more water. Kind of like if I was giving you, $1 million a day, you're going to go spend a bunch of money because you're like, hey, there's another $1 million coming tomorrow. I might as well just go spend all this money and buy stuff. But if you know you're not going to get any money, if you're going to get, $10 a day or $0 a day, then you'll be like, oh crap, I got all these expenses coming up and I don't have any money coming out. Let me hold on to the money I have and save because I don't know when that next money is going to come in. So it's the same thing. So when it comes to the days prior, 48 hours, 72 hours and further, is you want to load that water more than what you're taking above your baseline, whether it's 1.25, 1.5, or even 2 times your baseline, to give your body additional water more than it's used to say, okay, I have all this additional water coming in and I'm going to start flushing out all this water that I don't need. And you can do the same thing with the salt manipulation, because increasing your salt intake will help hold on to some of that water in the muscles, which then you're going to want to flush out later on in order to make the weight. So taking in the higher salt is going to help holding on to some of that water instead of having it completely go through, and also keeping that balance, because if you are taking a higher amount of water and you're not taking in a higher amount of salt and electrolytes, then you could be flushing out all those electrolytes and you can kind of be in imbalance, and there could be some dangers in there. So you want to try and keep that balance and basically have your body hold on to some of that water as well. Depending on the person, they may start this 5 days out or 7 days out from the competition, so you have a number of days where you're loading and telling your body, okay, that I'm getting plenty of water. And you may want to do a step up where you may be taking 1.25 for a couple of days, then 1.5 for a couple of days, and then 2 times your normal intake for a couple of days before you bring it down. In addition, as part of the leading up process, which you can even start before that, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks out, is you can make sure you're tracking stuff if you aren't already. So you may want to be tracking your morning body weight every single day if you're going to be weighing in the morning. You may want to be tracking how much water you're normally taking every single day so that you know how to go 1.5 or 2 times your baseline. Some people may only be drinking half a gallon a day, some people may be drinking 1 gallon a day, so it depends on what you're doing. And same thing for your calories and your macros. You may want to be tracking your calories and your macro breakdown every single day leading up, so you know where your averages are, so that when you do the manipulation on the week of the meet, then you know what you're basing it off of. All right, so next up, we're going to go into those final hours. So now you've done all the loading process, and now you need to drop everything so that your body can continue to flush everything out. So you're basically tricking your body. Like I said, you're giving it a bunch of water and you're giving it a bunch of salt, and it's saying, okay, I have all this coming in, I can send out some of this water. Then when you start tapering off or completely just drop off the water, then your body hasn't figured out yet that there's no more water coming in, and so it's going to continue to flush everything out. And so then you're basically tricking it before it figures out, oh no, there's no more water coming in, and so your body will continue flushing out for a little bit. Plus you can use other methods to pull the water out of your body, and then that's what's going to help you basically reduce your weight and make the weight. So in those final 24 hours or 12 hours or however many hours you're going to start reducing your water intake. You can do this step step by step. If you're going to do like, let's say 2 days, like 2 days out, you maybe go back down to like 1.251, and then maybe a day out, you go back down to like, 0.75 or 0.5 of your baseline. So it just depends on if you want to do a step down or if you want to do a big drop. And the same thing goes with the salt, where you can reduce it so that your body's not holding on to the water anymore. You have less salt in your body to hold the water, and then you start flushing everything out. Now, like I said, you're trying to trick your body, so you don't want to start the water reduction too soon, because then your body's going to realize, oh, there's not water coming in, and it's going to try and hold on to it. So I kind of say it's like same thing to training. Like when you drop off your training volume, when you're going to peak, you don't want to be dropping off your volume too much too soon. If you're dropping off a ton of volume, 8 weeks out or 12 weeks out, then your body's going to start detraining. You want to try to hold your training volume as high as possible for as long as possible, and then drop it off right before the competition to actually have some recovery and then have that adaptation. So the same thing here. You don't want to be dropping your water off like 4 days out, 3 days out, 2 days out, and continue to reduce it. Then your body knows what's happening and it's going to start holding on to that water. So you want to try and keep it as high as possible for as long as possible, and then right before, drop it off to kind of like trick your body and flush out as much as you can. During that time, you can also do some other things to manipulate your weight. For example, you can change the types of food that you're eating to try and empty out your gut, so you're not holding on to any food as far as weight in your body. And a lot of people make this mistake, and I kind of made it too when I first started, is like you think that, okay, the way to do that is to like eat super healthy, eat a bunch of vegetables and eat a bunch of chicken breasts or whatever like that, because the vegetables are going to be very low calories, and then you figure, okay, that's going to keep my weight down. But during the week of the competition and in those final hours, you're not trying to reduce body fat by having less calories, creating that deficit. What you're trying to do is remove as much food, as much volume out of your body. And so what you want to focus on instead is foods that are calorically dense. So you want to have foods that don't weigh a lot but have a lot of calories in it, so you can still hit your calorie intake, you can still hit your macro intake, but it's not going to take up a whole lot of space. If you try and eat a ton of vegetables to hit your calorie intake, your body's going to be so full of vegetables and it's doing the opposite effect. So you want to go for those calorically dense foods, for example, nuts, and you don't want them to be salted. And same thing with like dark chocolate that's not salted. That way the high fat content is going to get you a lot of calories. They don't weigh a lot, they don't take up a lot of space, but you're going to be able to get your calories and your fat in. And you can also use protein, like whey protein if you want, to get your protein source in and you hit those macros there and not take up a lot of space. In addition, like I said, you can try and force the water out too, other than just reducing the water and just urinating. You can try and force the weight out. Like some people will go and do a hot bath to sweat, or they'll do sauna or steam room or even a hot tub to sweat the water out of you. So that can help too, to help pull out the water. So some people will do maybe 10 to 15 minutes in a hot bath to sweat. Then you come out to basically bring your body temperature back to normal and dry yourself off, and then go back in for another 10-15 minutes, sweat again, pull that water out, and keep doing these cycles where you're forcing your body temperature up and you're forcing your body to sweat the water out and then bring your body temperature back down. And that can help get the water out a little bit faster. Some people will do that the night before to try and get as close to weight as possible before they have to weigh in the morning. And in those final hours, if you're off a little bit, like let's say you're 200 grams off or 100 grams off and you're trying to get that last bit of water out, what some people will do is you go and you spit in a cup or spit wherever you want to basically, again, force water out through spitting. Or what you could do last second, like we've done before, and I've seen people do at nationals, is you can like cut hair, because your hair is going to weigh a little bit. So if you have really long hair, you can cut 3, 4, 6 inches off, and that's going to take some weight off to make that final weight. So now that you made weight and you stepped off the scale, let's go over what you have to do afterwards. And the big things when it comes to afterwards is you obviously want to replenish the water, you want to replenish the electrolytes, and you want to replenish the carbs. You don't necessarily need protein at this point, because protein is going to take a little bit longer to actually have an effect of recovering muscle damage or building new muscle. That's going to come after the fact, after the meet. And then also you don't necessarily need fat at that point, because the fat's going to slow down the digestion of the carbs. So you can really focus on, like I said, the water, the electrolytes, and the carbs to replenish those key things and replenish them as fast as possible. So just like I said, in the loading phase where you want to try and keep everything in balance as far as your water intake and your electrolytes, it's the same thing here now when you're replenishing. You want to try and keep it in balance. So you don't want to chug like a gallon of water and not have any electrolytes with it to balance it out. So that's why a lot of people after they weigh in will drink something like Gatorade or Pedialyte to get that mix of hydration and electrolytes. And when it comes to carbs, you want to try and keep it to simple carbs that you can, again, replenish the carbs as fast as possible. So, people again will have like the Gatorade that has the simple sugars in it, or even like, honey that will help them get a lot of carbs and fast. And an important note to this when it comes to the whole replenishing yourself after you make weight is you want to try and hit these key points, but also pick things that your body's used to and you're not going to basically get sick from. So if you're trying to eat some food that, makes you basic or maybe never tried out before, you may want to try it out first, or maybe not even use it, and focus on the foods that you know are going to sell in your body well and that you can actually go and squat, bench press, and deadlift afterwards. For me, I focus mostly on the IPF and IPF affiliates, so you do have the 2-hour weigh-in, so you want to take that into consideration, that whatever amount of water or electrolytes you are intaking, that you're going to have to go and squat about 2 hours later. And same thing with eating food. So you want to, time things well and not rush things, and stick with foods and drinks that you know your body's going to handle well, because you're going to have to go start warming up and you're going to have to go max out your squat. All right, next up, let's go into some considerations that you should be thinking about depending on the level of competition. So, it's easy if you have like a local meet at home where you can like sleep in your own bed, you have all your water and your food and everything like that in your fridge, you have your bathtub for sweating and making weight. But what happens when you have to travel? Now, if you're going to a national level meet, most likely, you're in the same country, you already know how things are as far as whether they have, saunas or whether they have bathtubs, what kind of food and drinks they sell in that city, everything like that. So it might not be that much of a difference. You might have to check with the hotel, hey, what kind of a bathroom does the room have? Does it have a standing shower? Does it have a bathtub? Does the hotel have a sauna or steam room or anything like that? Are there any gyms nearby that have a sauna or steam room? Those are easy to do. But now when you go to the next level, now when you go to international meets, you may have things that you're sold in your country or things that are done in your country that are not done in other countries. So you may go to a competition in another country and they don't sell Pedialyte. Maybe they don't have Gatorade. Maybe it's traditional that the hotels there only have standing showers. They don't have any bathtubs. Maybe they have saunas, but they switch between men's time and women's times, and you have to take all those things into consideration and figure out what you need to bring with you or what things you need to be practicing at home, because at the competition and international meet, you're not going to have access to some of those things that you're trying to do for a local meet. Another thing to consider that a lot of people don't think about is the actual flying. So there's going to be a couple factors when it comes to flying and the amount of time you're flying. Is one, if you're going on a long flight, let's say 9-10 hours, in a normal day in your 9 or 10 hours that you're awake, you may be intaking a certain amount of water and a certain amount of food. So now if you're going on a 10-hour flight, you want to make sure you have that stuff with you. So if you have to be drinking, let's say 1.5 or 2 times your normal baseline of water, well, then you have to figure, okay, if I'm on the plane and I'm going to be awake, 16 hours, but 10 of the 16 hours I'm going to be on the plane, well, they need to consider, okay, I need to be drinking X amount of water while I'm on the actual flight. You can't just go on the plane and, fall asleep, not eat or drink anything, and then you land and you have like 6 hours to drink 2 gallons of water. The other thing to consider when flying is that they're changing some of the newer planes, but the older planes have a lot of dry air that they're circulating, and that dry air can also dry you out. So if you've been on a plane before and don't drink that much water, you may even feel like when you're breathing and stuff that your mouth is dry. And so basically can dehydrate you a little bit. And then when you're laying, your body's gonna want to hold on to all the water you drink now that you've landed. So then people will basically go on a long flight, they won't eat or drink anything, they'll get to whatever city they're supposed to be in, they'll start their water intake again to hit their numbers for that day, and then they realize, oh my god, I'm holding on to all my water is not coming out when I'm going into those final hours to do the water cutting process. So you want to be careful to make sure, one, you're hitting the correct amount of water you need for that day, depending on how many hours you're flying. You want to see how much of that you have to drink while you're flying, and also regardless of, even if it's a shorter flight, let's say 3, 4, 5 hours, you want to be drinking a little bit throughout the entire time of the flight to basically limit your possibility of getting dehydrated and then holding on to all the water once you land. An important thing to always consider is to go back and analyze what happened after the fact and review your results. So whatever happened as far as the pre-meet, the making the weight, and post-meet, you want to go and review everything after the meet's done, after you complete everything, and see what went well, what didn't go well, what things can you improve upon, so that next time you go and do it, you can go and fix those things and make the process more efficient. So for example, you may have had the problem where you went on the plane, you didn't drink enough water, you fell asleep, you get off, you're dehydrated, and you hold on to your water, and it was much more difficult to cut the water, or maybe you missed weight. So then you can go and analyze that and say, okay, in the future, I have to make sure I bring about this amount of water on the plane. Ask the flight attendant to fill your water for you so you can get more water in, making sure you stay awake and doing your part to stay hydrated on the flight, so that then you can make the water cut and make it easier for yourself. Or you can maybe see, okay, you cut from 190 pounds down to 183 pounds, and then at the meet, you didn't feel strong, you weren't able to get back to 190 pounds, you didn't hit the numbers that you wanted. So you may want to say, okay, maybe that's too big of a cut for you, for your body and how you did everything, and so maybe you want to try a easier cut next time. So now in the off season, you can maybe get down to 187 or 186 pounds, and then next time do your water cut from that 186 187, be easier cut, you can get back to it more easily and see that you're going to perform better with that smaller cut. So then you can basically tailor this all to what works for you. All right, and like I said, I'll do more videos on this topic, going into each little thing and going more into detail in the future. future. In the meantime, if you want to see more videos, you can check out this video here where I did a step-by-step guide of how to build your own meet day temp sheet. And I have this playlist here where you can see all kinds of powerlifting tips and tricks. But other than that, hope you guys are having a good week, and I'll see you in the next video.